Well, European leaders will rethink their ties with the US at an emergency summit this Thursday, while there's relief at the scrapping of the promised 10% tariffs on multiple European countries opposed to Trump's Greenland takeover. Governments remain wary of another change of mind. An internet blackout continues in Iran amid nationwide protests challenging the Islamic regime. Human rights organizations believe thousands have been killed in a crackdown on demonstrators, while there are reports of even more arrests. For more on the situation there, I'm joined in the studio by Arshad Alijani from the France 24 Observers team. Thank you very much for being with us, Arshad. What's new in Iran? I mean, that internet blackout continues, but are we getting any new information from the country?
Yeah, as you said, the internet blackout continues in Iran. Reliable news is scarce and images are even rarer. However, from the few first-hand accounts we are still able to collect from several cities, what Iranian described is horror. Everyone is shocked by the scale of the killings, injuries, the arrest. In some cities, Basiji forces stop people at random and check their phones for photos, videos of the protests, or even they check their chat GPT accounts. There are patrols of Basijis and police in almost every city. There are people here and there, they pay very expensive for VPNs to have some minutes of connection of internet each day. And what they say is just horrible.
And so with that picture that you're describing and the level of violence, we can imagine that there are no more protests going on?
The answer to that question is yes and no. As far as I know, there are no protests taking place on the street due to unprecedented bloodshed unleashed on Iranians at this hour. To give you a sense of scale, in the first year of repression in Syria, fewer than 5,000 civilians were killed. In Iran, in around 2-3 days, more than 12,000 people were killed, according to different sources, media and human rights groups. However, smaller protests do continue on the very limited occasions that Iranians have. For instance, during the funerals of the protesters, we have videos. Videos are emerging, as you see here, from Iran that show funerals of some of those killed were well-known and respected figures in their neighborhood, like this funeral, as we see in Tehran. It was for Ahmad Khosravani, a 21-year-old basketball player and student at one of Iran's most prestigious universities. As you can see in the images, hundreds of people gathered for his funeral and chanting, "This year is a year of bloodshed. We are going to topple Khamenei," or "Death to Khamenei." We have other videos too that shows funerals in other cities. For example, in Lordegan, it's a small town in western Iran. As you see here, people are chanting "Death to Khamenei." This one is for a 28-year-old protester named Ali Khaledi, turned into an anti-regime protest where people chanted, as I said, "Death to Khamenei."
All right, so it seems that at least that the movement isn't over in Iran.
Let me describe the situation. There are patrols in cities. The patrols that mesmerize the patrols of ISIS in Syria, and on unannounced curfews in some towns and some cities reported to us by our sources. The regime doesn't dare to restore internet. I think the regime initially faced dozens of major problems in dozens of cities. Now, with mass protests. Now, it's dealing with thousands of smaller problems in every city, at every funeral. Iranians may be horrified and licking their wounds, but it's not over for the regime. And if you look at the protests, the authorities have had to crush since, let's say, 2009. The storm has never truly passed for the regime. When things appeared calm, it was only the eye of the storm. with every killing, execution, arrest, the hatred instilled in the population has grown, and each new storm has been stronger than the last. We see that the latest protest was much more important than women life freedom. Women life freedom was much more massive than 2019, and etc. etc. And as a well-known saying says that dictators must win every battle. People need only win one.
All right, Ershad Alijani, a journalist with the France 24 Observers team, thank you for shining a light on the situation in Iran.